เดือนกุมภาพันธ์ที่ผ่านมารัฐสภาไทยได้มีโอกาสต้อนรับสมาชิกสภาผู้แทนราษฎรท่านหนึ่งจากเยอรมันผู้ซึ่งร่างและผลักดันให้เกิดกฎหมายที่ทำให้การใช้ไฟฟ้าจากพลังงานหมุนเวียนในเยอรมันเพิ่มขึ้น10 เท่าในเวลา10 ปี สส.ฮันโยเซฟเฟลนอกจากจะได้รับการยอมรับฐานะผู้เชี่ยวชาญด้านพลังงานสีเขียวในระดับสากลแล้วล่าสุดเขายังเป็นผู้เขียนหนังสือที่ได้รับการกล่าวถึงมาก Global Cooling หนังสือที่เสนอวิธีการแก้ปัญหาโลกร้อนด้วยการใช้พลังงานที่เหมาะสมสำนักข่าวสิ่งแวดล้อมได้รับโอกาสสำคัญสัมภาษณ์พิเศษนักการเมืองผู้เปลี่ยนวิสัยทัศน์ท่านนี้และจากนี้คือส่วนหนึ่งของบทสัมภาษณ์เหล่านั้น
Globally, we have some hotspots in the nations where renewables are growing very fast. It is Europe, China, a little bit Brazil and India, but the most regions in the world do not go so radically to renewable energies. But I believe we now stand at the turning point because renewables were expensive in the past, 10 years ago. And now the developing of the new industry, new innovations makes renewables cheaper and cheaper. And the turning point is that renewables now are competitive with fossil and nuclear fuels. And in the coming years they are becoming cheaper and cheaper. Main drive is energy hunger in the world, in China, in East Asia and in India and others. And the second main driver is climate protection, to make no pollution of the atmosphere. And the third driver is rising oil prices. The scarcity of conventional fuels is very strong, and we see the peak oil is already overcome in the world, and therefore the oil prices, the natural gas prices, the coal prices are increasing. Shale gas declining the price only a little bit when we do not go to renewables worldwide. Then we will face a huge economic crash because but already we have a new study from Bloomberg in Australia that highlights that wind power in a new investment is much cheaper than even coal power in Australia. And you know, coal power is extraordinarily cheap in Australia. But when coal power producing is more expensive than wind power producing in Australia, it seems so. The costs are not really high. We must look to the whole system, and we have to find out that the fossil fuels are highly subsidized. The taxpayer pay a lot of money to reduce the high price for gasoline, for diesel and for electricity production. So when we switch the subsidies, when we cancel the subsidies for fossil fuels, then renewables are much cheaper. Since 40 years. Students at solar is enough for the whole world to cover the whole energy demand of the world. And I could not accept that we don't accelerate the technology for such a huge energy source. And therefore I promoted in the 70s and in the 80s without any success. But afterwards, when I had the chance to go to the German Parliament, it was for me one of the most important things to draft a law that can give a basic for the industry to invest into renewables. This was a famous Renewable Energy Act in Germany, decided in 2000. And beginning from this point, then were a lot of investment, a lot of new factories were built up, and so the price for the technology is declining. In photovoltaics, the price declined by 10 times within 10 years. That's huge. And we see that this strategy goes on and renewables become cheaper and cheaper.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. I like it. I'm a technical freak and I want new technologies. It was basic for me, new technologies, new innovations. But I learned very soon that these new technologies are the solutions for the most problems and the most challenges what we feel in the world. It is global warming, peak oil with rising oil prices, the scarcity of fossil and nuclear resources, and in the follow-up of the scarcity we see more fights, more conflicts, even oil wars, and so it is also a strategy to bring more peace into the world and to have more chances. And it is a chance to overcome poverty in the world. A lot of people have no access to electricity, billion in the world. Renewable energies, because they are fuel-free, gives them the chance. Look to Bangladesh, the Grameen Bank give microcredits to the poorest of the poor, and then they had a chance to get electricity for so little villages and the houses, and they got more and more prosperity.
You've been visit to Grameen Bank?
กมลสุกินและวรัญญาจันทาทิพย์สำนักข่าวสิ่งแวดล้อม Green News TV รายงาน